two things. I know we're going to talk about the treasury bonds and another auction that happened, but I want to start our conversation with the Sukuk bond. Oh, Miriam, you're here. Please join me. Okay, I think I've sent you an invite. You're most welcome. Okay, but your voice is a little bit down.
Okay, I'm still connecting my microphone.
Okay. Anyway, as Miriam gets her groove going, let me talk about something that is extremely important. Its information is starting to come out. The Sukuk sovereign bond. I know Ministry of Finance yavuddeyo negamba tetugenda kugiyita treasury bond, so I'm trying my level best not to call it a bond, but it's a bond. It's a debt. Now, the Sukuk bond or the Sukuk sovereign, it's the first of its kind in Uganda. One, it's also an infrastructure bond. So, the way the government is structuring it, fena tuchimanyi, there's been an increasing desire for the government to fund big infrastructure. Roads, especially the Kampala-Jinja Expressway, the Standard Gauge Rail, Yagalo connecting Kenya. So one of the structure they have done is that they're going to use they're going to borrow some money automatically, but they're also going to issue a Sukuk bond. Why are they going in a Sukuk way? They want to bring something that is Sharia compliant, fully Sharia compliant, because in some way, our Muslim brothers and sisters have always felt like the standard treasuries leave them outside. Because a normal treasury bond, whereas for it has interest rates and everything, it's not designed with the Sharia, and it's not designed with the level of the Sharia compliance, the Islamic financing that is needed. Katinga basilamu bannaffe baganda bafa abasiramu ne banyanyafa abasiramu bamaliriza tebaguze Sukuk bond, treasury bonds. So it was imperative, especially for a country like Uganda that has almost 30% of the population that are Muslims, okubaletera a product they can invest in a capital markets manner that is compliant with Islamic financing laws. That's when Sharia, that's where the Sukuk bond comes in. Now, Sukuk bond will use the money they're trying to raise close to like 300 million US dollars, or let's say 1 trillion Uganda shillings, for a 10-year Sukuk certificate. When we talk about Sukuk bonds, we shall use the word certificate because accounting-wise, maybe Miriam will explain it much better. Ministry of Finance has set up an independent company that is called the Sukuk One. I'm assuming they will have to issue like 10 other Sukukus. They have set up Sukuk One, that when you buy that Sukuk One will issue certificates that will be listed on the Uganda Stock Exchange. Then the money the Sukuk will raise, the Sukuk One, the company, it's called a special purpose vehicles. We see them so many ways. The special purpose vehicles. The money they will raise, that money will be passed on to Ministry of Works for them to fund the construction of the Standard Gauge Rail. Now, all of a sudden, you realize that debt, over the banja, over that certificate, told the government here Uganda. So that means that debt cannot be that debt will not be part of the Uganda's debt. We call it off balance sheet. We shall go through them. There is so much information, there is so much terminologies that are going to change in the coming weeks and months as people get to know about the Sukuk infrastructure. But two, another important thing that is extremely important to note, bulijjo for treasury bonds, the minimum someone must invest is 100,000, emitwalo 10. Buli ayina emitwalo 10 ogula bond. For the Sukuk bond, all the sukuk certificates zigenda kubaza millioni emu. So baganda bafa abagala abasiraamu abanoonya sukuk that oyina okubeera nga you have at least $1 million. That's one. Two, there is guaranteed return. Nti bataddewo, I believe, tentatively right now, is around 13%. Kati bwe twogera ku 13% omuntu agenda gamba, but if that is interest rate, does it not then break away the sukuk, bachita batya, the riba? Abasiraamu mujaba mubitegere ebigambo mubyenkozesa such that nti it's 13% for UGX, it's 5%, 5.5% for USD. Isn't that then riba? Nebagamba no, it's not interest, it's rental. What makes it rental? Then it brings in something we call leasing. Now this is where it's going to get a little bit more complicated, explaining some of these to omuntu wa wansi. Okuzinyonyola muganda wange Rashid munyonye kyekitegeeza inti sente ze tugenda okukwata tugulemu sukuku certificates, sukuku one company zetunda. Ezo sente sukuku one egenda mu government nekola and it leases it leases the SGR for 10 years. Because that contract is fully for 10 years, then that answers the majority of the people's question. Will we be paying tax on the rentals? Tetuzita interest, how is that treasury bond? Zinotuzita rentals. No. That's the one amazing advantage ya sukuku bond jegendo okuleta. They are going to be tax free. Why are they tax free? It's because the sukuk bond, it's going to be used to fund an infrastructure project. And in our income tax laws, with the 2019 amendment, actually mwechiri, any infrastructure bond that is issued by government that is more than 10 years is tax exempt on the income you make on it. So, because the sukuk bond is being used to fund the infrastructure, the SGR, then it automatically qualifies to be an infrastructure bond, which automatically qualifies it to be a tax exempt. Sukuk bond, they will be tax exempt. But we shall go in that a little bit. So I wanted to give that introduction on my end. Miriam, are you sorted now?
I am sorted microphone wise, camera wise. I'm still sorting that, but we can proceed as I sort that issue.
Anyway, introduce yourself to Jachiku without soke to get it out. Maybe it will show up a little bit later.
Yeah, we'll sort it later. Hey guys, I'm so happy to be here. I'm new on TikTok, as you can see the issues I'm always facing. I'm Miriam Namayanja. That username is just for a short time, but my real name is Miriam Namayanja. I've been in this personal finance community for quite some time, but have not been on TikTok. And Kakanda's been pushing me, Miriam, go to TikTok. And honestly, TikTok is so overwhelming. Like you open it and somehow someone is shouting in your face. So it can be threatening. But like this past week, honestly, I've just dug myself into TikTok and I can see the amount of knowledge on here. Like maybe people are doing some good kind of work, and now I'm so hooked. I see why people get addicted now, because there's just so much information and you somehow want to read and learn so many things. But anyway, what language are we using today?
Uganda. Bajja kugobawo wano kusoleta oluzungulwo. But let's go straight into it. I'll start with the questions as the other questions are coming in. Simon Dax and Kutumideko. What are your thoughts so far on the sukuk bond? Or so far the information that's coming out on the sukuk certificate? Are you ready to invest? Is it something you're interested in? What are your opinion on that?
Interested wise, like I'm just, you know, everything that positive zong banaye munsonwe buli ekigendawo mu Uganda, like buli ekikyusaako ku market buli echingira mu our capital markets, like it's always a win. Oba chiri mu format chi, like I always count on that. So yes, I'm excited your product is negative when like
You can actually mix your languages. Don't with the Uganda. You mix the language. That way I know people will understand fully.
okay. I see someone has said I have insufficient followers. That's why I'm not able to turn on my mic. But
So
anyway.
if that's the case, then people who are on live, please help me follow Miriam. That will next time when she comes in, she can easily come on live. Just do it for me. But continue.
Yeah, but anyway, so when you turn your bond cutting a mazo kulaba yes development jegendo kola mu market ne of course we need like infrastructure projects in Uganda, like even if between like Vikadi, and then they can no longer serve the community like in Sengeri Jetamblam. So anything is a win if everything is managed well. Kati then nenchiza assessment, of course we have to gauge it nzenga investor. Sente zange sinaziteekamu wache zimpa ekinene, cause siri mu business ya kukola charity mu government, nina okukola sente. So ntunulira returns so far. I think research gye nkozeeko, it's promising a return of around 10% there. It might be higher, but so far I'm looking at about 10.5%, and it's going to be paid semi-annually. Tutunulira your 10.5 ogenda gye nsasula semi-annually, and then I'm locked in for, is it 15 years for that
It's
project?
10 years. Actually, the prospectus, the draft prospectus, in view once. Like this information, they are holding it, you might think it's the next gold thing. But you syndicate them view once. You read once, it deletes. But the information, it's tentatively, it's 13%.
Oh.
But it's tax exempt. So someone should, when you're making an assessment of the return, you should consider those.
Yeah, I think like most of the information jofna cousins and nonya yield infunira, like all the yields are varying with the information jofna. But anyway, never back 13% cutting and comparing the instruments, and then the nature of this investment. Of course, I'm going to just semi-annually. Right now, Chitwina market, it's a semi-annually is a bonds. Bond nina funisa sente okusinga, or if it's a yes, I'm honestly going to pick what gives me more money. Wembera ndi mu binene bya patriotic njagala kuzimba gwanga bichi, then I'll put my money in the sukuk. For now, I don't fall in that category of kuzimba gwanga nchayagala kukola sente, so my money is not going there for now.
You raise a very good point, right? And and I know for the people who are also, by the way, listening to this is going to come down to almost exactly that. Nti singa sukuk bond return on investment is 13%. Let's assume it's 13% or below, but whatever the rate will be. But let's use 13%. That's what is the document. That's what general vehicle. And this is for the 10 years, right? For the 10 years, which makes it tax exempt. Chitegeza 13 years is the 13% is fully the net return. Then the question becomes, if I'm comparing it with a standard 10-year treasury bond, the only time this sukuk bond can be better than a treasury bond, the only time is if the treasury bond a 10 years nefulumira ku 14 over 14% coupon over yield.
Yeah, mbera ngamba mu obero comparing ne ya 10 year yokka, obera just yes oyagala okuyingizawo that comparability, naye obera okilimitinza kubanga jukira soko kwegenda kwera listed ku our normal listing, USD. And then you bring in the component of the variability. Sukuk obera limited, like if you want to exit, that's the only option you have, and like the market is not as liquid as the bond market as we see right now. So meaning obera you comparing, you're not restricting yourself to just the 10 year. You have other options, right? Because see, like even if I get a 25 year, lock myself in for that's your time, or I keep investing in the 5 depending on whatever yield they're giving me, then I can still get a higher return than it is Sukuk. I don't just have to compare it with the 10-year. That's my thinking anyway.
The reason why I compare it with the 10-year, and guys, help me just continue liking the live and sharing it at Bulungi. The reason why I compare it with the 10-year is to have that the term risk, nti bwoba myaka 10 nti ngamba, because I want to make, you brought in the return on investment component jenjagala otandikira nayo, and I know going to talk about a few other things later on, but the return on investment component bwemba ngenda funa 13% which is tax exempt, chiba kitegeeza I need to compare for 10 years, I need to compare it with an equivalent 10-year period. It becomes not fair for me to compare it with the 20-year it becomes a little bit not fair to compare it with the 10-year, the 20-year bond, because automatically for the person who is investing in the 20-year bond, he's taking a 20-year risk.
Yeah.
Period.
No, like assuming I can exit after 10 years and sell it on the second.
That's another way we always juggle when we talk about treasury bonds and we tell people to buy the 20-year bond, but it doesn't take away that on a 10-year bond, he knows in the 10 years he will get his capital back. Go a 20-year bond, in 10 years you have to go to the market to get whatever you have to get. Sometimes it can work good for you, sometimes not. So that means for the Sukuk bond, it's better to compare it with at least the 10-year bond. Ugamenti bemba Sukuk empa 13 as a net return. What will the other bonds be giving me as a net return for someone to make a decision? The only difference may be what you argue. I agree with you on that. And guys, and you are trying to understand the same kind of mindset. It's going to be exactly this. No, but am I really interested in a 10-year bond if it gives me a lower rate? Am I interested in something for 10 years? Or am I okay to take a risk of a 20-year, 30-year, 20-year, 25-year, for as long as I'm getting a 300 basis point higher than that? Ochifuna. But for return on investment, I don't know how they're going to be price it competitive to beat what the treasury bonds are doing.
I know, like bayinza okuyingiza, or maybe banatufunirako exit price, because that's when you're able to redeem your capital. Or if they promise a better exit, but cool.
But remember the exit price is going to be your actual principal, except if you are to sell it, and you have to sell it on the stock market, because on the securities market it's going to be listed. You might want to exit when the price is fluctuating, and maybe you might be exiting at a time when there is terrible PR for SGR. So that means whoever holds the bond for it is in bad names. Or if it has good PR, that whoever is exiting is getting much more money. Anyway, Sherry katuse kasoka ababuzeeko naye abanyonyole byabaletedde olwaleero. It's a Q&A. Ebibuuzo byonna bye mulina, these two ladies are going to be answering them. My job here is to moderate.
Hey, Alex. Hey, Uganda Legacy Builders. I'm not going to use the name.
I'm Sherry. Erinnya terikubuzaabuza, nze Miriam Wedda.
That I have to respect that new name, you know?
No.
But hi, Miriam. How are you?
Hi.
So, today's a Q&A session. I think doing a representation for Uganda, representation for the US, and representation for the UK. So today's a Q&A. I think questions to either one of us are fine.
Yeah. So we have been talking about ojidenga tutandikidde mu Sukuk infrastructure ejja. I have given my assessment. Miriam is giving her assessment. I have a few questions that are still coming in. But have you done some research around it? not even for Uganda alone, but even perspective-wise for other, what you are seeing in other economies, that would, something that would easily make someone to understand what is coming in the next 1 or 2 months, because this one is really coming.
Yeah, so I did, from the Ugandan perspective, Wabasoka Okuji Okola announcement, I did do some reading on it, but at the time, the details were a bit shy, as you know, interview affair. So I didn't have enough information to form an opinion at the time. However, I follow you on Substack. Everyone here, I hope you also already follow him. I saw your article that you put out recently. I haven't had a chance to do a deep dive to form an elevated opinion on Sukuk bonds for the Ugandan perspective. But Chemuba Demogerako, was it more so helping people understand in general how Sukuk bonds work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we are right now we are laying the foundation for people to understand. I know for the Ugandan context, until the full prospectus comes out, until the issue call for purchases for certificates comes out, there's still going to be so much information coming out. So at least Nandiagadent Yomuntu aranko kutegera what to pay attention to in such products, especially for the first time, what needs to be done.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. That makes sense. I'm sure you had already started. I mean, how I think of it, from a personal perspective, when I think of investments, especially the stock market, I've had some clients in the US who say, I want to put money in the stock market, but I don't want to invest in such and such thing, right? Or I don't want to invest in any company that funds this party, this political party. Like, I don't want to put money in Apple if Apple's, it's tricky. It's extremely tricky. And in fact, my approach, unless someone is really, really convicted with their religious perspective, is just make money in however way you can legally. Because if you start to filter,
Yeah.
it's too much. And quite frankly, in most cases, you're so limited, and it's almost impossible to truly filter out what it is that you think you're filtering out. Like, God will understand. That's my take to move over my age. But I think a sukuk is helpful in the way that it's designated specifically for this. So my understanding of it in that market, it's not really common in the US. So all I know about it is from my Middle East friends and now the Ugandans. And it's like an investment certificate, typically, where you're supposed to earn money by owning part of a real asset or a business activity, and then you earn interest. And instead of earning interest on a loan, because from a religious perspective, they're not supposed to earn interest. So the difference would be where a normal bond says, lend me money, and by me, I mean the government, like, lend me money and I'll pay you back with interest. From a Sukuk perspective, it's help fund this asset or project or infrastructure, and then you'll share in the income it generates. It's kind of like a Bulunjiwansi sort of thing, which from a religious perspective, again, it takes away that loan thing per se. That's like a basic understanding. It avoids interest. It structures investments around ownerships and profit sharing instead of straight up lending. So you have to look out for what kind of projects are being invested in. You need to look at, are they things that interest you? Because abantu abasinga bagamba, oba bagenda kuzimba kino na kino ng'eddiini tenzikiriza, then maybe that's not a bond that I'd want to buy. So I don't know. I want to see how this plays out in Uganda. I'm definitely
It's you are looking at it the same way Miriam is looking at it. I'm here to make money.
Yeah.
But we forget one thing, right? We forget one thing, and that the standard products that were denazo, which is actually in Uganda is literally one, which is the treasury bonds. Nti omusiramu, he has been limited, especially wabanga munadini dala.
Yeah.
Nti boyogera ko interest rate. When I have sessions with my Muslim clients and we're having deep conversations, I always add there some caveat that almost everything I've read, it makes treasury bonds not Sharia compliant. The interest rate is riba,
Yes.
right? Kati bw'okimugamba bw'abanga eddiini ye ya Miriam agamba awo sijja yitawo, bw'ebeera ya Alex agamba kansooke nkole ssente.
Yeah.
Now, in a country like Uganda, where you have almost close to 30% people are Muslims, that is a big population you have not yet catered for in a capital market structure.
Right.
You have to come up with products that are literally converging to something that is of theirs, the Islamic financing laws. And that's the whole reason why we even have the Salam Bank, which is also Sharia. Okay, it has Islamic financing. So I look at the Sukuk bond, one, to care for them, our Muslim brothers and sisters, and to get something. Nach investing money, it's Islamic financing, it is compliant with the Islamic rules, and he's not, for lack of better, is not making a sin. That's one. For the Muslims, straightforward. That's a good thing.
Right.
The question becomes, for a non-Muslim, the question then becomes, is it a good investment? I think that's where you're coming from, where you're saying, maybe. Does it make sense?
Right.
Maybe. Which product are they investing in? Now, we have seen where other countries, I was looking at Nigeria, when they have issued is Sukuk bonds, they are purely, they are going to do something that is a Muslim project. Yes. So maybe they're going to construct a Muslim school or fund an Islamic university. Like, that's how strong they are. For ours, we are funding an infrastructure project, which is not necessarily Muslim, right? So that means there is, which made this Sukuk bond have the infrastructure element, which brought in the tax exempt element, which I love, by the way. There are some people who, when you tell them zero tax, you mean zero tax? Yes, they are happy with that.
Zero tax for our diaspora communities, but we're younger than us.
So you look at it that way, you're like, it's a second product that one, barely there has been not, if it is not for this listing, there is a chance we might spend the next 5 years before any new IPO in Uganda. That Securities Exchange is dead. And that's it. I'm sorry to say, it's the fact.
Yeah.
It's the facts, because right now, even if I have a client who has been looking for MTN shares, to the extent they were willing to pay almost 500 shillings per share, and they cannot find worth of 20 million. We have spent, that's not an exchange.
Right.
Right? Because majority of the people who have these small tokens of securities, they are held by insurance and pensions. They never sell. They hold it to maturity. So now, a new kind of dispensation like such a product, which is going to get listed, all of a sudden, how do you then look at it and like, maybe we're about to start getting a little bit of more activity on the Securities Exchange.
Bakyambadde njagala okugattako kubanga like abasinga abali interested mweno product be bannaffe abasiraamu oba bali mu Middle East kati baate Sukuk zaabwe jjukira Sukuk za njawulo kati ffe mu Uganda eno gye baleese and of course I'm going to be a devil's advocate for people who want to really be Sharia compliant kuba Sukuk endala you share into the profits oba it would have been SGR ekoze sente mmeka, then government nekuwayo share. So you're not just limited on the rentals, obula ofuna profit. Naye kati eno Sukuk gye bagenda okuleeta mu Uganda eri typically structured like a normal bond. They are just changing the language of instead of coupon tugenda kusasula rentals, which is literally the same. And that's okay to me. Yes, like it's better for it to be Sharia compliant, they're linking it on an underlying asset. So omu like people who want controversy yagamba wa just bakyusa lulimi but ffenna kye tufuna kye kimu. So just get over yourself and choose the best investment option for yourself instead of complicating the language. But anyway, yeah, that's me being a devil's advocate.
Yeah, I think it gets very tricky because again, Miriam, that's my take on it's tricky. Kubanga, you're mixing religion with money, and those two are not usually mutually exclusive. Kubanga, when it comes to capitalism, which is a strategy that a lot of us operate under no matter where you live, the main purpose is to make as much money as ethically possible, sometimes even illegally, but let's focus on the legal one. That's the point, is to make as much money as you can within the legal realms, no matter what. That's capitalism in a nutshell. When you add restrictions of religion, it gets very tricky because, to your point, how best are you going to help the community when, and again, sinaba kusoma nnyo ku ya Uganda, so I don't want to give very definitive opinions on it until I'm well versed on it, but I'd like to see how it plays out to the community. And someone just asked a question down there. What is the difference between interest and profits? Alex, do you want to take that one or should I?
You can. I almost would have said use Miriam's words, but let's get it a deep. But take it on, Sherry.
Wait, which ones? I like Miriam's explanations because they're
Well,
right there.
she said they're just changing the language, so I think it's always hard to give the difference of these two of what. But if I'm to use my understanding of this is right, maybe let me expand a little bit on what Miriam's point Jale said, because I don't think she brought it fully the way it should. Islamic financing understands that JK or in a product or in a business, I'm willing to give you some money in it. It's yes debt, but I only make when you make money. When your revenue is coming, we agree, we do some profit share. You give me 10%, maybe let's use that. If you don't make money, I also don't make money. That way, you do not feel constrained just because I've given you debt. However, that's the simpler way of understanding the Sharia compliant Islamic financing. If someone is out there, down there, and they're a specialist in Islamic financing, I would want to talk to you. You can come up. But when you look at it that way, if you argue that that is the simplest way to understand the Sharia Islamic financing, then you're like, then with SGR, I should be in a position to buy my certificate, and I only wait to start making money when it makes money. Right? Like that's the extension of the mindset. That if I'm buying the Sukuk certificate and it's going to be used to construct SGR and it's going to take 5 years to construct, I expect to start making a revenue in 5 years from now. That brings in the word the leasing arrangement that they are doing with the Sukuk One company I talked about, the Sukuk One, that you can only pay me using the revenue. However, the way they are structuring this Sukuk bond, there is guarantees that even in the construction phase, you are going to be getting paid. So what are they paying you with? I think that's what Miriam was trying to bring out.
Right.
Yes, we are going to call it rental, which is determined at a particular percentage rate, which is 13%. But in the end, it's not the project paying you. You are getting the money from other sources, which is the government. I don't know if Miriam have done justice to what you wanted to bring out. And then not all of a sudden it means realistically it becomes interest.
Yeah.
Because that's not profit.
Yeah, exactly. 100% agreed. So that's why I'm like, you know what? I'm holding my breath let's see how it plays out. I think after the first financial year that we'll have more information to make a decision. But I wish you all the best of luck.
Um, the- the- because I'm an advocate of the capital markets growth,
Gy'ova okugamba mbwe the market.
the Securities Exchange, yes, it's sleeping, very sleepy. Because I'm an advocate of the growth of this market, any new product is a win.
Yes.
Now, there are fundamentals which we are going to talk. We can easily talk about the return on investment, diversification, the tradability of it, the prestige of funding SGR. All those are valid points. Maybe I should maybe asking it differently. At what point do we take a pride in knowing that my money is funding the SGR? At what point does that count for something? That yes, I know I'm going to make a little bit less money than what I'm making out there, maybe on the bond, but at least I know. What's your take on that, Sherry?
I, not to be very callous about this, I don't care. My goal is to make as much money legally as possible. So personally, I wouldn't choose an investment that gives me little back just because it's funding an infrastructure that the government should be funding on their own. I would go for an investment. Let's say unit trust zezimpa 15%, Sukuk bond impa 5%. As a non-Muslim, I'm going for the unit trust, straight up. Neweziba sente za Sukuk bond zigenda zimba lugudo, that's not my responsibility as a citizen. That's what my taxes should do. So personally, I don't care. I'm going with whatever has the most money for me and my household.
Interesting. What about you, Miriam?
Definitely that will be my default position, but then I'll add on it like if you're still fighting food wars, nga like sente ochaziga, like if you spend 6 months nga toyingiza sente and you would struggle, then ebyokusupportinga okuzimba eggwanga, I think that shouldn't be your plan A. It should be like at the bottom of your list or your ambitions. Like there are people right now abakoze sente ngenda kukozesa ekigambo mbuno nga zibamala who have enough. Yes, sente teziri tukoli n'agamba kati sikyayagala, but there are people who live comfortably. Like I think that is the category joyina okutuukamu n'ogamba okay kati ngenda kuzimba ggwanga. Now those are the people abajja okuva mu this advice that we usually give of look out for the optimal investment options. Those are the people who will be like genda mu kyalo kyammwe teekawo akasomero ka welding. Yes, okimanyi see a best use of your money, but you're sort of creating opportunities for the grassroots population. But abantu bogenda otuuka okugamba yes like edduuka lya hardware oba edduuka erisuubula biki like mu kyala erisuubula emmwanyi, like it's not the best return you'll get, but basing on the portfolio you have right now, it's now time to build the communities around you to create some opportunities, because some like honestly tekigasa gwe okuzimba olubiri lwa eka 5 mu kyalo kyewammwe ng'abakuliraanye tebalya ennimiro zaabwe zonna zikaze teyagula bye balimye. Like at some point kigenda tuuka kikkakateko, not because it's your responsibility, but you've reached that point of kyenkoze kigenda kummala. I'm not going to be broke ever, even if I don't work an extra day. And it's not mandatory. Like some people will never get to that point. But I would advise someone at least to ever get to that point, and then they help the rest, especially mu ggwanga ng'erya. Dinene amawanga ge tulimu, like people are just okay. No batayamba neighbor, they are catered for. But in Uganda,
is that the better way to live?
Which better way?
No. Alexander Gamba, is the individualistic society that we live in the better way to live? I don't think it is the better way to live. However, and I'm going to get a bit political here if I may, but views are of my own, not Alex. So just
No.
I think all of this, if we're looking at from a macro level, we're looking at it right now from a micro level. But if we zoom out a bit and look at this from a macro level, the fact here is we're doing all this we're putting a band-aid on a gunshot wound. What's a band-aid in Uganda?
Bandage.
Bandera.
Bandage or something.
Bandage, yeah.
Yeah, like a small band-aid on a gunshot wound, right? Besides financial inclusivity, which I think is very, very vital, and Alex, I do agree that the more products, the better, especially if they're including more people, and 30% Muslim is a really big number in Uganda. However, all these band-aid solutions to gunshot, the gunshot being government is a and that's why we're coming up with all these different micro solutions. And the more we do that, the more we take away accountability from the people that are supposed to be doing what they're doing, right? So for me, that's my take on it's not better to live in an individualistic society where no one helps the other person. But to Miriam's point, we can afford to do that because I know even if I I know they're safe. I know they have access to good roads. I know they have access to good healthcare. So sure, I don't know their name. I don't talk to them, but I'm not worried about their basic needs because they're being met by the government, by the taxes that we pay. So I think from a macro level, that's the issue here is most of these wouldn't be. I mean, that's why NSSF money is now being used to fund different projects. It shouldn't be the case. This is not normal. This is not normal at all. My money, I should never have to worry about, oh, when take an investment, one of agenda Zimbolugudo. That's not my job. That's what my taxes are. So for me, that's my approach of Zinozona solution. It looks like progress. In my opinion, if you zoom out, it's actually sign of a failed state that people are having to invent all these different ways of getting things done for their community because the government won't do it. And that's not good.
Yeah, definitely. And that was my thing of abantu bonna assessing no product. I don't think muja assessing nga tugenda kuzimba eggwanga. That is not your part. As long as you're still fighting food wars, I don't think that should be the point of view. And I don't want whoever is writing that prospectus, I don't want them to come up with a big banner of Uganda builds Uganda, overcome and build together.
Emotional marketing.
Mugobye bubu. But okay, I hear. For a moment, I agree with you in that omuntu oba guys Miriam Chategeza being in a food war ngochali, for lack of better word, kachupewo ngochali mu struggle ya life nga sente kumbe buli sente gyofuna ya kulya kata katono kofuna woko yagala okuinvestinga ate tokateka nnyo mu bintu nga tekigenda ku maximinga return oba amagoba gogenda okufuna ku kintu ekyo. But then at the same time I feel like we know this is just another treasury bond, but also it's another creative way to get debt that will never be part of the public debt. Now all of a sudden we can wake up and say our debt is 130 akura, but the government it's
not because it's only financing about 17% of the project. So
okay, the Sukuk bond specifically, whatever money they're going to be raising from Sukuk bonds, the majority of them are going to come because even the company they are using for the company they have registered for this one, it's called the Sukuk One. When I saw the word one, I was like, I think they're about to bring like many more others. Katiao. All of a sudden in the next 10 years, averagely, they can borrow a 20 trillion in sukuks, and that debt will never sit on the government debt. Okay, on the balance sheet of the government. So we will never be in position to say, oh, all of a sudden our GDP or our debt is increasing like this, like this, like this. However much we know that debt is guaranteed by the government. Two, that's why they are also trying to tap into NSSF, as Sherry was talking about. Now, if NSSF funds a particular road, that debt is not for the government. However much the government must kind of ensure that the NSSF makes its money at a bare minimum. I was seeing it. I know that takes away from the questions which I wanted us to go into, but a little bit. I was seeing it what the Tanzanian guys did. The NSSF Tanzania funded a particular bridge. It's a toll bridge for paying. And it's going to take them 35 years to just recover the money. But that's with government guarantee that at least because they funded with close to 350 billion Tanzanian shillings, that a year they must at least make 1 billion in revenue. That if they don't make that billion, government will pay them more. But if they make more than 1.5 billion, the extra, the government takes it. So you are already, you think about that where you're like, why would I invest in something that is giving me just a 3% return for pensioners? That doesn't make sense, but that's what is coming in Uganda. So I had this one question, and I know it's going to be so much a question and answer, and if people have questions on there, I don't want so much focus so much on the Sukuk bond, because that is a monster altogether.